Hello everyone, this is Running on Empty Food Review. Well, hello ladies and gentlemen and everyone watching. This is Running on Empty Food Review. I am your host, the Report of the Week, and welcome to this newest installment of, well, whatever you want to call it. It could be the review series. It could be me sitting here, eating lunch, and then just happening to talk about it. Terrible intro, I don't know where I was going with that, but either way, we do have a new item out that I'm excited to try out. And it's interesting how it is where, sometimes like when you have these pizza items, you have a place that, it's like there's a dry spell, like, alright, you have these burgers that come out, you have chicken sandwiches, you might have different tacos. Sometimes then you go for almost like a couple months where there's nothing pizza related, and then it just hits you, then it all just comes out. And that's what we're in right now. I mean, the floodgates are wide open. There is a swarm of pizzas crawling, flowing out, into the market. Pizzas are flooding the market here. And, last time we did Papa John's. This time we're trying out Pizza Hut. So, we're giving it a shot. Now, Pizza Hut, what they always like to do, and this is just, going by tradition, because this is just Pizza Hut's thing. It's a stuffed crust pizza, and this time around, this reminds me very much of their, what's the name of it? It's my favorite one, too. I can't believe I'm blanking out here. The Cheesy Bites, sorry about that. The Cheesy Bites pizza, it reminds me a lot of this. Now this is called the Mozzarella Poppers Pizza. Very catchy name. And here's the difference, right? The Cheesy Bites pizza, you have the pizza, and then you have the little bites that have, the cheese encapsulated in them, and then, you rip it off, and then, you're supposed to eat them. Some people, they'll kind of, hollow it out and, put it on their nose like a clown. Some people will use them as earplugs. People will do different things with them, but you're supposed to just consume them, right? And you could dip them in the sauce or whatever you want to do. This, on the other hand, is you have the pizza round, then you have the bites, but inside of them is mozzarella cheese, and they have a little bit more seasonings on them, right? It's very similar, but slightly different. And I'm a big fan of the Cheesy Bites pizza, so we're just going to see how this is. You'll see what it looks like. It looks a little bit different. But for the most part, it's very, very similar, and we'll just see how it is, and we'll just go from there. So this is the Mozzarella Poppers Pizza. It comes in one size, a large pie, and the price for it is around $15, I would say. You might be able to get a little bit of a discount or something and get it for a little bit of a lower price, but, I just paid the full price. There weren't really any coupons, but we'll see. It does come with complimentary marinara sauce, so that's one thing to note. And we'll just take a look. Sorry if the lighting is a little bad, but we'll just do the review and we'll go from there. So here's what it looks like. Alright? Now you can see the one difference, right? See, here's the pizza right here. Okay. Let's just get that. Good enough, right? But you can see we'll do something like this. How about that? You can see what it looks like. Now, this actually looks a little different than the picture, admittedly, and, you get that. These are the bites, but see, it's just a little bit different. It's very similar to how the Cheesy Bites are supposed to be, but it's just, not quite. I mean, the one thing I saw in the ads that this differs a little bit is that the ads made it look like it's part of the crust, but this not so much. This just kind of looks like it's just on top of it. But that's what it looks like. Pepperoni pizza, and, again, mozzarella cheese in those bites. Alright. So with that said, what I'm gonna do is let's grab a slice. Which slice looks we'll go with this one. How about that? Alright. And then it comes with the ever so fresh marinara sauce. I envy the people who still get the fresh stuff that's packaged in the store. I mean, here in Florida, you just get the ones that are pre-sealed like that, and I always like the fresh ones better, but what can you do, I guess. Alright, there's what it looks like. It's just like a stuffed crust pizza, but yeah, it's just like this pocket of the cheese there that's just I guess attached to it, which is interesting. That's the one thing. The ads gave the impression that this was a little different, but that's okay. You know, look, you can't judge a book by its cover. It'll taste like what it tastes like, and we'll just try it out. Yeah, just mozzarella cheese, regular pizza. Otherwise, we'll see how good it is. So I'm gonna do what I did the last time, just because my mouth is still recovering. I'll take the first bite, I'll pause it, and then we'll reconvene. So with that, it's the Mozzarella Poppers Pizza from Pizza Hut going in. You know, it's a little bit of a fun fact when it comes down to this pizza. But what they call the popper here, you know, which again is fried, it's breaded, and it's filled with the mozzarella cheese, it actually has a very long lineage to it. It goes all the way back to the days of antiquity, believe it or not. And it was first, I believe it was first traced back to ancient Egypt. And it might have even been used as a form of currency, which is just incredible. And yeah, it has a lot of history. People look at this, they think like it's a new item, but really, when you really like look it up, study the history, there's a lot more to it than that. And maybe I just made all that up on the spot. We'll see. There's the pizza, though. You can see just a little bit of a cross section of the pizza itself. This is just that standard kind of thin crust. You know, not too doughy. Just like what you would get for the other, you know, stuffed crust pizzas. Where it's just a little thinner. You know, it's greasy. I always do like that little bit of a boldness that the tomato sauce has, but oily. But the pizza itself is completely standard, completely average. And now we're just going to try out the crust. Alright, so this is actually soft enough where I think I can just eat this last one. I already tried one of the poppers. Here's another one. Okay, what it looks like. And let me just get that close-up shot for you here. Alright, so you can see it's fried, it's breaded. Let me just try this real quick, and I'll dip it in the marinara sauce for you, you know, while we're at it. It's pretty soft. I mean, it has a little bit of a crispy shell, but, you know, again, soft enough for me to eat without, you know, everything just falling out, or, you know, my brain is going to come out my nose or something. That doesn't happen, okay? Here's what we've got. I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. And it's up to you. You know, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to you know, ruin your Thursday and just give you the you know, just the bad news, and or yeah, what do you want? This is where you just pause the video and, you know, deliberate for a little bit. All right, I'll give you the good news first. We'll go that way. How about it? We're just gonna live on the edge and we'll be very brazen. All right. The good news is that on their own, the mozzarella poppers are okay. They remind me very much of like a mozzarella stick. That's exactly what it reminds me of. You know, where you have the you know, the mozzarella cheese, the big glob of it. And then you have how it's kind of fried. It has this breading, you know, where it's like almost a little bit of onion in there, and you know, garlic mixed into, and it's just fried. It's a little crispy, but there's lots of mozzarella cheese in there, and it blends well with the marinara sauce. You know, the tomato from that does work well. It blends well, and you know, on their own, you rip it off, you try it, whatever, tastes fine. No big deal. No huge, you know, disastrous issues. No repercussions. No again, my brain isn't falling out my nose or anything. Right? Everything's good. So that's the good news. That's on their own. And maybe you see what I'm kind of getting at. The bad news, it doesn't work with the pizza. And that's the thing. If you just got these as a side, yeah, you know, I'll get the pizza and I'll get the mozzarella fried squares on the side. Alright, as a side dish, yeah, no problem. They're fine on their own. Just doesn't work with the pizza. It's just that conflicting flavor of, I think, the onion that's in there, just the breading. It's not even the mozzarella itself. The mozzarella is fine. You know, you get that in the crust anyway. It's no big deal. But I think it's the breading, just the spices, not really the spices, just the seasonings that they use in that breading. It conflicts with the pizza. I think just the doughiness of the pizza, even the cheese, you know, the greases, the oils, the prevailing flavors that we outlined earlier in the review. It just doesn't work. It conflicts, and that's an issue. It's like, yeah, this doesn't really belong here. And I notice that clash in the flavors. So again, there's some good news, and now I know we're just bawling our eyes out because Reviewbrah didn't work with the pizza. Why? But I'm not the one that designed the item, but it's just that's my observation. On their own they're okay. You pick them off, you eat them as is. That's fine. It's not an issue. Mm-hmm. But on the pizza itself, it just doesn't work, sadly, and it's a little disappointing, because you always like it when the things just work as intended, and I think this would, again, as silly as it is, I don't know, maybe the masses would like it if it was just, its own, like, side dish or something, I don't know. Again, they're fine on their own, but on the pizza itself, it just doesn't work, and I'm a little disappointed with that, because it's supposed to be all in one. It's just supposed to be this one thing where it all blends together, and you can eat it uniformly, and it's supposed to go with the pizza. Because it doesn't go with the pizza, even if they're okay on their own, the item itself just doesn't taste good as intended. It's not the worst thing I've ever had, but I'll give it a 4.1 out of 10. So just beware, though, that there is that big conflict in flavors there, which, it just is what it is. Look, when it comes down to items, especially the fast food ones, you win some, you lose some, and on to the next we go. Pizza Hut, I have faith in you that next item will be a good one, so we'll see what happens. So that's our rating out of 10, again, $15, and pretty much that's all that I have for you. One thing to keep in mind, I do have a new podcast coming out today. You could find it at youtube.com/VORW podcast. And you could also find it on iTunes, Spotify, just by searching VORW. It's a talk show. It's going to be about some current events, especially with the coronavirus, fears, concerns, just discussion about it. Something maybe that'll be interesting to listen to. Give it a shot. And with that, that's all that I have for you. And feel free to give this pizza a shot. This is just my observations, but who knows? Maybe you'll like it. Who's to say, right? Thank you and take care. I'm your host, the Report of the Week.